Okay, so is my voice audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the last class, we have finished that module about the graph. So the graph module was finished. So in this class, as promised, we will start with the next module. The next module is hashing. So module 5, I will finish first. Then to the third module, I will go. Then to the second module. Okay. So the smaller modules, I am just finishing fast so that majority of the syllabus I can cover. Okay. So today we will start with the chapter hashing. Okay, our module 5. Now, earlier we have discussed two search algorithms, right? We have studied our linear search. We have studied binary search. Now, linear search has a time complexity of order of n, right? And we have studied that binary search has a time complexity of order of log n, right? Where n is the number of elements in our array, right? Now, this linear search and binary search, or you can say binary search or binary search trees, these are efficient algorithms to search for an element. But what if we want to perform this search operation in time proportional to a constant? That means in certain constant time. If I want to perform this operation, irrespective of my dependency on this particular term n, if I want to perform this, then what is the way? Or in other words, is there a way to search an array in a constant time, irrespective of its size? Okay, so for understanding this, let us study or let us take example of two scenarios. Suppose I have a company and in that company 100 employees are there. Fine. Now, each employee will be provided with a employee ID. Clear? Then, suppose of 100 employees, suppose my employee ID, for the easiest case, I am understanding that all the employee details, I will store it in my array. And for the easiest case, what can be the scenario? That from 0 to 99, I can give these number of employee IDs to my employee, right? For the easiest case. And so suppose they are in the range of 0 to 99. So to store the records in the array, each employee ID will act as an index into the array where the employee's record will be stored. Suppose the first employee, suppose I have like this, the array I have. Suppose like this, I have the array, right? Suppose I want to store the details of my third employee. Then I know that the index location 2 will act as the index in or the key into my array. Suppose I want to store the elements of third employee, the third employee. So the third employee will have as the employee ID 2. 2 will be the employee ID of my third employee. So the person with the employee ID 2, where will all the details be stored regarding this person? Into this index location or this key location. So in this index location or this key location, suppose I will store the my details of my employee. So the employee with ID 2 will be stored in location 2. The employee with ID 6, the details will be stored in location 6. The employee with ID 7, the details is stored in location 7. So like this, the employee ID itself acts as an index or a key to our array. where I am storing the details of the employee. Now, so far, everything was going perfectly. We can directly access the record of any element. Once we know that what is the employee ID, I can know that in which particular array index location I can get the details, because my employee ID is same with my index location. So I can go very smoothly, but practically this implementation is hardly feasible. Why it is hardly feasible? I will tell you. Suppose at the first year, I am starting my company with 100 employees, right? Second year, 40 employees have left my company. And third year, 40 employees have left my company. And third year, 20 more employees join in my company. So 1 to 100 or 0 to 99, you will have to fix it for the first 100 locations. In between this 0 to 99, suppose 40 locations are being vacant, right? 40 employees have left in the second year, 40 locations are vacant. But in the third year, when you want to add 20 details of 20 more employees in array, can you forcefully do it in between any location? Right? You will
No, ma'am.
have to add again the 20 elements one after the other. That means in the second year, when your 40 people have left, your 40 location was vacant, but for inserting these 20 elements, you are not being able to reuse these 40 spaces. You will again have to create this thing. So this is an absurd idea. Feasibly, practically, this sort of idea is not possible. Next, another solution came. Let us, you will see, not a solution, you will see a scenario where suppose where I am doing the PhD, I have a roll number like this. Okay. Why? I will tell you. Suppose this signifies the ID of my department. This signifies the year I have taken admission. This signifies the department I have taken admission. This signifies something. This signifies something. So sometimes it may happen that in companies, the employee IDs are like this. Like this. Or forget about characters. Maybe the employee ID like this. Maybe the first 2 digits represents their last 2 mobile number digits. The middle 2 digits represents their birth date. The last digit represents their birth year. Or it may happen that the last 2 things represent their PIN code. So with this combination, the company creates a unique employee ID for each and every employee. This may happen. Every organization have a way of creating their own employee IDs. So suppose if I follow this previous pattern where each employee ID will denote each cell, then think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So between the range of these two, days, I will have to book my memory locations, right? And suppose the combination they are using like this, but actually this many number of elements are not there, right? Just like my roll number. See, I am the 6th candidate actually, but the combination they are using is of 5 digits, 7 digits or 8 digits. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this combination means this many amount of employees. It may happen that in that company 100 employees are working or only 200 employees are working. So the space which I have booked, among that 200 spaces are actually fruitful. The rest is wastage. So again, it is impractical to waste so much of storage space just to ensure that each employee's record is a unique and a predictable location. So the next concept that came, that what can we do? Yes, I can do something. I can take the last 2 digits of my from my employee ID, and the last 2 digits I can use as an array index. I can do it. Then my space will be reduced. Suppose this employee ID will be stored in index location 90, or I have, suppose someone have an employee ID like this one. This value, these details of employee ID will be stored in index location number 91. Suppose this can be a solution where I can have a 2-digit primary key concept. Instead of the 5-digit concept, 7-digit concept key, I will use a 2-digit concept, because that will satisfy my 100 employees, right? But this is also not a good solution, because it may happen that 2 employees, it may happen that frequently the 5 to 6 employees, they have the same birth year, or they live in the same location. So this, suppose this is signifying the birth year of my employee. So in 90 year, 6 employees have taken birth. In 91, 7 employees have taken birth. So then their values will match. That won't be unique. The location won't be unique. So after experimenting with all these concepts, after experimenting with all these things, one idea came. The idea is, whatever be my index, whatever be my key, that is, it's a 5-digit key or it's a 2-digit key, whatever be my index, we need a function which will transform this key into my index location. That means, suppose I have an array. That array I am naming as a hash table or a bucket array or simple array, whatever name you give. I have a function which I will refer to as a hash function. That function, when applied on my key, that will generate an index. This is the index where I will store my details in my hash table. That means, simply from the employee ID, I won't consider the last 2 digits as my key, the front 2 digits as my key. Like this, I won't compare. I will have a hash table. I will have a hash function. I will apply the hash function on my key. This is my key. On my key, this is one key, this is one key, this is one key, this is one key. I will apply the hash function on my key in order to diminish my entire this long thing into a very small amount or a small index location, depending on what are the index locations that are referred in my particular hash table. So I need to improvise, or I need to convert or transform my key to a suitable index according to my hash table. And this transformation is done by a function which is known as a hash function. Up to this, the basic part, is it clear? The basic part. What is a hash function? What is this hashing? Up to this, do you have any query? Okay. So I
No,
suppose
ma'am.
you do not have any query. Fine. Now, first, what used to happen? We used to have a dictionary, right? In dictionary, what is the concept? I have a pair. pair of my key and my element. That means if when you have a dictionary, you want to search for an element. Suppose you want to search for the element bucket. First, you will go to the page B. Then you will go to the page B, A, B, 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 C, B, D. Like this, you need to find the next combination of your key where BU. After that, you need to find to the page where you will get the combination of BUC. So always you need to have a combination of the key values and the element which is provided to you, right? This is the way how we find or we search for values in dictionaries, right? So at first there was a concept of log file. What is this log file? It's just an unordered list. Why I am telling as unordered? Because as and when the elements are coming, it is being stored one after the other, right? So it is an unordered list where one by one the element comes and one by one I store or I keep the record. A log file I am maintaining. Okay. First one student has joined, I have stored his record. The next day another student came with the assignment, I stored his record. The third day another student came with the, I'm not maintaining any serially. First maybe roll number 10 has submitted, then maybe roll number 12 has submitted, then maybe roll number 1 submitted. So it's an unordered list. As it is coming, I am storing. So every addition will take how many time? Order of 1. Because exactly in the last place you will be storing your value, just one after the last. No searching is required. Whatever your last element is inserted, just after that you will add your next element. But for delete and for search, what time it will take? It will take order of n time, because throughout the log file you need to search. Where suppose a student 12 come and said, ma'am, will you check whether I have submitted my assignment or not? I have forwarded. Since it's an unordered list, I will have to do the searching throughout whatever files one after the other have submitted, and I will have to search for all the files in my log file. So this was the concept of log file, where the addition was okay, taking place in a constant time, but the deletion was not okay. Again, I will have to be dependent on my value of n, right? Next came the concept of bucket array. Bucket array, what happened? I have an array. I have n number of elements, right? So suppose whenever I am declaring an array and whenever I will say that I have n number of elements, so definitely certain index locations will be automatically created, right? Suppose I want to store the element 1 in I want to store the pairs are key and element. This is the pair which is followed. I want to store the element C in the key 1. So it means what? It means in this location, my element C will be stored. That means in my array, in my k location, whatever k location I will specify in my key, my element will be stored. So this is my key and element pair. So every element will be stored in this index location. Whatever will be the value of key, in that particular location, my element will be stored. See, the value of my key was 1. So in index location 1, the element, my element C was being stored. See, this is the concept. Now, this was again taken over by something. Why by something? I will just explain. Next came the concept which we are learning is the hash table. Okay. Suppose I have a key pair. I have a key, I have an element. This is my key element pair. Okay. Now, I won't directly store my E according to my key. No, I won't directly do that. I will apply a hash function on my key, or you can signify like this. I will apply a hash function on my key, and whatever the value will be there, that index location, I will insert my element. I won't insert my element directly into the key. I will insert my element according to the hash function value, which will come after being computed on my key. Two concepts combined are there. First is the concept of hash code. It does what? It first does, it maps your key to an integer value. Fine. Then comes the concept of compression map. They do what? They convert this integer value, whichever you are getting from step A, into form of 0 to n minus 1. Whatever is your form. That means if you have a key value of 56 and your element is suppose A, suppose your array is from 0 to 9, then you cannot store this 56. But according to the concept of bucket array, you cannot store this 56 because priorly you need to understand maximum how many elements it can store. If it goes beyond that limit, it can never store. This is the problem with bucket array. But with this improvised version, suppose 56 was my key. I cannot store A in 56 because I do not have 56 location. I will do what? I will apply a hash function to my 56. Suppose it is giving me a value of 6.5. Now this 6.5 I will compress and I will map according to my range 0 to 9, so that in particular location I can fit my element. And suppose this value ultimately by applying the hash code and by applying compression map, I have the value of 8. Then it means what? In my 8th index location, I will insert my element. See? So starting from a different key value, you first applied the concept of hash code where you mapped the key value to a certain integer between your range. And then from this integer, you applied the concept of compression map and you converted this integer according to your range specified in your particular hash table. These two concepts together is known as applying hash function on your key, or you may say this is the concept of hashing. Okay. So hash table is a data structure. It is just what? Hash table is just what? It's just a bucket array. It's an array. So it's just like a data structure in which the keys are mapped to your array positions with the help of what? How is this keys being mapped? With the help of our hash function. So whatever hash function we have, we will apply the concept of hashing and we will apply the compute the hash function on my key and it will give me a value. That is the index location in my hash table where I will input my element. This is the preliminary concept of your hashing, your hash function and your hash table. In the subsequent classes, we will definitely read about the types of hashing, the different varieties of hash function, when in which situation we apply what type of hash function. These hash functions are all defined, right? We just need to apply it according to our specific need. So varieties of hash function, different hash functions, different methods of hash functions. Then what solution we take, then when collision happens, it may happen now while calculating a hash function, you will see that for two different elements, same key value has come. It may happen. So when collision happens, what are the solutions we take in order to avoid the collisions? So these all things we will study in the next class. Okay. So for the first class, I will not overload or overdose you much. This is the preliminary concept about this module, hashing. I hope you people have understood. And if you people have any query, you may ask to me now. Okay. And the students who are present in the class, please write your name in the chat box.
Hello, ma'am.
हाँ बोलो.
Ma'am, how it becomes 56 to 6.5?
ये हम बस एग्जाम्पल दिखाने के लिए किए, ये हम कुछ अभी एक्सप्लेन किए ही नहीं है कैसे आएगा. इसका पूरा प्रोसीड्यूर होता है. पहले तो ये इंटीजर होगा, ये बस 6 ही मान लो, 6.5 छोड़ दो मानना. और ये हैश फंक्शन से कैसे ये आया, इससे कैसे हम लोग मैप करते, ये पूरा मतलब फिक्स्ड रूल्स है, प्रोसेस है, एल्गोरिथम्स है, सब पढ़ेंगे एक के बाद. बस समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मतलब कैसे हो रहा है. पहले हम लोग देखे थे क्या कि जिसको इंडेक्स ले रहे उस इंडेक्स में ही वैल्यू को पुट कर दे रहे. इम्प्रोवाइज होते 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 कहाँ पे आया कि की इंडेक्स को हम इंडेक्स नहीं मानेंगे, एक की है, उस की को अकॉर्डिंग टू माई एरे हम कैसे फिट कराएंगे, इस मैपिंग करेंगे, भाई इस कन्वर्शन करेंगे. इस कन्वर्शन को हम लोग हैशिंग बोलते हैं और कुछ नहीं. तो ये समझाने के लिए हम बस ये लिख रहे हैं. One thing I want to say that remember in your hash table, suppose you have a key, right? You have key, an element. Now this element is not stored in your index location key. It is not stored. It is stored in your this location. है ना? It is stored at the location which you gave after having applied the hash function. But earlier the key location में ही element store हो जाता था. ये concept नहीं है hashing में. Hashing का concept है key के ऊपर hash function डालेंगे, उसमें जो value आएगा उस location में हम element को store करेंगे, है ना? So it means that a hash function h is used, which will calculate the index at which the element with this key value k will be stored. So this process of mapping the keys to appropriate location in your hash table is called hashing. की है मेरे पास, उसको कन्वर्ट करके हैश फंक्शन डाल के कुछ वैल्यू कंप्यूट करेंगे. इस वैल्यू जो आएगा इसके यहाँ मेरा ई को इंसर्ट करेंगे. डायरेक्ट की के में के वैल्यू में ई को इंसर्ट नहीं करेंगे. दिस एंटायर प्रोसेस ना, this process of mapping the keys to your appropriate location in your hash table, this entire process is what we know as hashing in the simplest terms. Agar samjho, this is the concept of hashing, of mapping your key by applying a hash function to get an index location value in your specified hash table. Okay. So I hope everyone has understood. In the next class, we will start with the next part. Okay. Thank you so much for attending.